Hi Martin, welcome to episode 113 of Illuminating Rounds. You're not Martin, the ASL player anymore. What are you?
I am Martin, the mortgage broker.
Well done. Well done. With your first clients or first meetings underway.
I was authorised, we're doing this on Tuesday. I was authorised yesterday. Sorry, we're doing this on Wednesday, aren't we? I was authorised on Monday, but I've already had lots of meetings. So, yeah it's going well.
Brilliant. You are the man to speak to now. So if anyone in the UK is into, I guess it's only UK that you can service.
That's true. Yes, that's true.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if anyone in the UK is interested in mortgages.
Oh, I'm not yet authorised to promote myself. So
am I allowed to?
That. I think so. I'm not allowed to say that, but you're allowed to say that. Yeah.
So if you were to recommend a mortgage broker to me, Martin, who should I go to?
I think you should go to someone very close that you know well. You know, someone perhaps somebody that you know wouldn't lie about their hip units. Someone like that, someone you trust. And you always go to an ASL player if you possibly can.
Do you know what? There's when I used to do like job recruitment and stuff like that, when I used to like apply for jobs, I used to try and put as many little things in that I thought, well, if that one triggers like an interest in a recruiter. So I'd always put like, family, children, whatever. I would have keen interest in football. Sometimes I would put the team, sometimes I wouldn't, just in case I thought maybe I'd get into trouble.
Could backfire that one, couldn't it?
Never helped. Absolutely nothing. All my little kind of sneaky things. Anyway, what are we going to talk about today, Martin?
Well, the big headline is that we're going to talk about the final.
Yep.
Belgian, of our tournament, Belgian Blitzkrieg. But we're also going to have a little chat about the journal.
Yep.
Which we got, so issue 15. This is, isn't it?
Yep.
Which was brilliant to get hold of.
Yep. I can show you a copy. Mine's backwards, but
I think we've got some new patrons. I'll put mine up. Oh, you can't see mine because I've got a background. Yeah, and we've got some new patrons.
We have got some new patrons. So big thank you to Pete Palmer, Nelson Isada, and James Traver. Thank you very much, guys. You now have access to the nicer graphics on the ASL Scenario Archive. You'll see setups on the top right of the scenarios for Vassal files. They're obviously there for everybody anyway, but it's a little bit more convoluted to get to if you're looking for them. And you also are able to join in our tournament. And for patrons, you will be able to register on the homepage of the ASL Scenario Archive by the time this video is out. So that means I've got to do a little bit more extra work between now and publishing, but it also gives me a deadline. So that's important.
That's a good thing.
All right. So, before we get kicked into ASL, I guess for those bingo aficionados out there, I've been traveling. I've been ill. I was in New York and Connecticut a couple of weeks ago. Picked up a cough out there, and I've been just shivering. And I hit. I could do this in Celsius and Fahrenheit because my sister she lives out in Connecticut, and she had this digital thermometer, and I got kind of ill, and I was, kind of just feeling a bit grotty really. And then I started getting like this fever, and I hit 40 degrees, and she has this like, so 103 or something. I don't know what it was. And she's got this digital thermometer, and it was turning red, and she didn't even know it had a red color setting on it, like where it was like, I was really quite ill. I'm just about getting over that now, but still coughing and spluttering a bit, but that's
excellent. Well, I'm glad you're on the mend.
That's it.
I've been having to I can't remember why now, but I had to translate Celsius into Fahrenheit with a piece of paper and a pencil the other day.
Wow.
It's remarkably difficult.
Yeah.
So you really need to be near an AI these days, don't you? You can do things like that. I've become lazy, but there's a slightly tricky formula for it.
Yeah, what was it? Wasn't it something like double and add 30 or something? I can't remember if that was the number, but
that sounds quite straightforward, but also very odd. Like you'd think there was some more.
The graphs kind of don't kind of look right.
Anyway, there we go.
That's enough of Scientific Weekly for us. Have you been playing much ASL lately?
Not really. No, I've been really, really busy. So I haven't played an awful lot.
You played Nick.
I am getting there. I played a little bit. So I played Ian Willie online, and I played Nick actually just a week ago. And I love going over to Nick's because Nick lives in a very lovely little town called Housestead, and there's a beautiful little, tiny little old world cafe where he takes and treats me to lunch whenever I play him at his. Yeah.
Right. Nice.
So I normally buy him lunch when he comes here, but luckily it tends to be we go to his more often.
Nice.
But it always makes it a nice event. I've been playing. I mean, I've been playing him for as long as I've been playing you. So it's basically getting on for 20 years. It's like it's amazing. I remember vividly the first day that I drove over to see Nick and play and met his little daughter and his wife. Crazy.
And now they're all grown up and married and all sorts.
Yeah, I mean, his wife was already married.
Yes.
But his daughter, yeah. But yeah, Nick's a grandparent, So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's so Mark Piktovich made an amazingly good point on Facebook the other day, and he said that if you look at the time between now and when Beyond Valor came out for ASL, it's the same amount of time as Beyond Valor and the end of the Second World War.
Wow.
That's kind of scary and incredible at the same time, isn't it?
That is scary. You see, I don't even think of 20 years as all that long anymore. That's a kind of an odd effect. I kind of, I've only got 20 years before this is going to happen or whatever.
Yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. It is crazy. So, and what's fascinating about it is, so we are 40 years into the ASL system. I mean, which is incredible in itself that it's still being played and developed, and new bits and pieces are coming out for it. But we're still getting tutorial articles, which is incredible. And so we're going to talk about this with Jim's article. Yeah. So we'll talk first of all about the journal itself. So issue 15, I love getting the journal. We've gone, full glossy on the front cover now. Do you prefer the full glossy front covers? We've probably talked about this before.
I mean, I don't care. Really.
You don't care.
I think
I prefer the.
So you have feelings about this, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, look, I mean, in a microcosm of it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
But I think I prefer the old feel of like what the general felt like and the annuals and the original journals.
I think we're just showing your age, really. This is because you're just not used to this glossy corporate thing. Because in the old days, we didn't have that kind of paper.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah, but I think there's something to be said about it feeling a bit more, I don't know, a bit closer to World War II.
Yeah. Just like ration papers and all sorts.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But anyway. Yeah. So
and when we've read it, we need to tear it into strips and use it as toilet paper, don't we?
But it's not great. This isn't great toilet paper. I'm going to be honest. It's quite shiny.
Traditional thing in Britain, I think, during the war.
Right? Is that what? Right?
Actually, no. It's a little bit slippery, isn't it?
That's
very good.
Exactly. So this was it $30, something like that? 35 pounds, something like that. I'm going to say it's good value for money. All right. So
I think that.
I mean, obviously, so we bought this direct from MMP, got it sent to America, so we didn't have the extra markup of the extra third parties. Always happy to buy stuff from MMP when we can, mainly because I feel like those guys deserve as much of our money as we can to keep them going. So 11 scenarios, 36-page magazine. We've got some overlay sheets for Doom battalions because they were printed at the wrong size. Was it the wrong cut in? Did they cut out the wrong hedges? I can't
remember now, but they're all in here.
I mean, Doom Battalion's 4th edition already seems scary to me. Like, I got the 1st edition, and that's it. Have you got the 1st edition?
So no, I've got the latest one. Is that the 3rd? Is it
4th edition is one?
Okay, I haven't got the 4th. I must be on 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, so what's impressive? I mean, you said this is 40 years and it's still relatively going strong, but we often talk about how we worry that there aren't enough people entering the hobby. But there are clearly people who don't have Doom battalions who want it, and that's not the first, probably not even the 2nd or 3rd or 4th unit that module that you'd buy if you were getting into the hobby. So someone's buying these, and obviously there's an element of us old timers, replacing our worn out counters. But, but with people playing on Vassal, I don't know whose Hungarians are worn out. It's I wouldn't have thought that many of us.
Right. No, exactly that. Exactly. There's also a bunch of people that are never going to play with these counters. They're going to buy the stuff. They're going to put it away, We know, for example, Jim Hoxie, amazing contributor to the Scenario Archive. Big shout out again to Jim. I'll praise his services for as long as we've got the archive going. And I don't believe he plays ASL at all. I think he buys stuff. I think he keeps up to date. He collects it. It's a nice collection, for something if you're interested in doing that. And doesn't play. And so there are a number of like war game collectors that do that kind of stuff. And there are people, I think Ollie up in Scotland, Ollie Gray, who has multiple copies of this kind of stuff.
Everything,
incredible.
Ollie, of course, does play, but
yes, and so I mean, I think that, it's great to see that stuff is still in print, and people are still taking it seriously in terms of like tournaments and everything. But we are still producing tutorials, so we're going to talk about that. But before we get there, I asked this question to Indy. So, would you buy the journal if it was just the articles and no scenarios?
I don't think that I'm going to say no, but possibly I wouldn't, because I do like the combination. I usually enjoy the scenarios in the journal. I think they're usually very, very playable. They're a lot of fun, and if anything, I think I wouldn't.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, thinking about it. I mean, I think the articles are great. I love reading the articles. It's something to look forward to, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can go and sort of take it and sort of digest it.
Yeah.
But I think you need the hours that you are going to spend playing the scenarios justifies the price.
Yeah.
Not the kind of few articles. I mean, to be fair, there are probably articles. I'm sure there are articles online I've never read.
Yeah.
If all I wanted was articles, there's probably plenty out there that I could satisfy myself with. It's quite nice though to read up like what's coming, down. What do they call it? View from the mound.
Yep.
Got to see what's coming up. And there's certain types of articles in here you wouldn't get anywhere else. But I think you need the two. Yeah,
no, I agree with you. So what I love about that is that when we buy like a new, if for example, let's say we're looking forward to a new scenario pack. Let's say, for example, and Friendly Fire is a good example because they didn't used to produce anything else other than just their scenarios with the, I don't think there was a magazine that came with it. It was just mainly just the pack of scenarios.
I think so, yeah.
So, if let's say, for example, we're all looking forward to that. Well, we can't do very much with it other than flick through the scenarios, maybe set up a scenario. But if you've bought it and you're on the bus or you're on the train coming home from wherever it is, there's not a lot you can do with it, And the journal, you absolutely can sit there and you can flick through and you can read it, and there's some nice pictures there, and there's some articles that you may come back to, and there are some that you read once as kind of interest. But then what I love about the journal is that you get scenarios that kind of bring people together, because most people will have the journal. So most people have played the most popular scenarios from the journal, which you can't say for some of the third party stuff. So although you might have some of the some of the far reaching articles or whatever that come from third party materials, you don't have the same ability to say. Now there are certainly some scenarios that do, and some of the better ones do get picked up by the journals and MMP anyway. So they kind of end up in the greater public domain, as it were. But it is good that we get scenarios, and it's always interesting to try and figure out what the classic scenario will be, maybe from this set, and I don't know what that will be, but good to see we've got 11 scenarios that we'll be no doubt flicking through and playing a few of, either now or in tournaments to come, and I think what's useful about it is it can kind of shape what we play. So for example, if there is a bit more of a push towards the Korean War, if there's a bit of a push towards whatever it is that is being touted as like kind of like an interesting set of maps or whatever it might be, then we kind of we're shaped a little bit in our play. So
do you know what? Just looking at the archive and looking at Journal 15, looking at the scenarios, there's quite a few in sort of Algeria, and actually it's really nice to be able to have the archive to be able to look at something like that, because it gives you the chance to kind of, I don't know, like focus on the subject. I don't know a huge amount about the fighting in Algeria. It's kind of quite a nice kind of way into it. You can search the archive, play a couple of scenarios, because they've obviously got a little bit of a theme there. They've even got one in Ecuador.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Absolutely. It's bizarre. And
I have zero idea what happened in Ecuador.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly. I've got to remind me to talk about Hell Let Loose. I'm getting through the war. I'm learning some really fun stuff about that, which we'll talk about in a second.
So where are you up to in Hell Let Loose?
We are now in the Mediterranean, and the Italians have entered the fray. We'll break off into a quick aside. I hadn't realised that Spain. I always thought Spain neutral, didn't want to get involved. They just had their civil war, and they were like out of it. And it turns out that they weren't as neutral as all that, were they? They were quite.
Oh, the Blue Division. Is it the Blue Division?
Well, I haven't got to that bit yet, but it's more the idea that they were quite keen to help Germany fight, from what I read.
Right. Yeah.
And it was only that they didn't really want to let Hitler bring the troops into Spain, and they were demanding a whole bunch of food and grain and ammo and everything. Yeah. And Hitler kind of felt like it was a bit too much. It was like I don't say like a needy girlfriend. I don't know. Like, you're quite pretty. You've got a lot going for you. You're going to be quite useful going forward, but there's a lot I've got to do for you to keep you happy.
I suppose it would have impacted the direction of the war. I mean, I don't know, but I kind of assumed Gibraltar wouldn't have been secure.
That's what they said.
The Germans had full access to
They thought that Italy would take Gibraltar, and also that the British were paying a load of bribes to Spain to stay neutral. So it was something like $13 million worth of bribes, apparently, to keep them neutral. I mean, there's all this kind of underbelly of war that goes on that you don't necessarily see at all.
No, absolutely fascinating. Have you seen the film Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare? Have you seen that? It's actually a very, very good film.
Yeah.
At first, I thought it was a bit silly, but actually, it's very good, and turns out to be largely true as well.
Yeah, no,
definite recommendation for people. I think it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's a Guy Ritchie special, isn't it? Absolutely. No, it's
very good film.
Very good. Anyway, back to the journal. So the scenarios, they didn't when I haven't played any, so it's unfair for me to kind of pass any kind of judgment on these. But the scenarios, I think, are getting a lukewarm reception. I think there's some that kind of stand out in terms of so Melting Pot looks quite strong, and Kick to the Curb are the two kind of standout scenarios, I think, in terms of the ratings that players are giving them right now. So it will be interesting to see how they turn out in terms of popularity. The Danish Crossroads and the Hill 424 are the ones that people are playing out of the most. But the Hill 424 is very, very small.
It's funny that those two things are not necessarily the same. I mean, it's kind of early days. There's not a huge number of planes, but the ones that have been played the most are not necessarily the ones getting the highest ratings. But having said that, often happens is the ones that play the most are the relatively short ones.
Yes, that's true. That's very true. Yeah. And they can become a bit dicey and everything. So
sure.
So talking about the articles, I mean, we've got a bunch of relatively interesting articles here. Poniri. I'm struggling to pronounce that. I thought I'd look up a website to see how to pronounce it. And
I assume it's Ponri. I've always said it like that, but I've no idea if I'm right.
Well,
I'm still irked from the bocage slap that I got from Ben's French wife. Yeah,
girlfriend wife. Yeah, we'll have to work harder.
Yeah.
I did there was a whole bunch of different pronunciation guides, and some were less. They tried less than others. So I got Pony Rye as one of the places. One of the things that felt a low effort.
Haven't tried, had they? Yeah,
exactly. But Poniri, I don't know. And I also don't know if you're supposed to pronounce it. I don't understand about locations, because in a way you should pronounce it, I guess, how the locals or the Russians, I guess, would have pronounced it. But then we don't say we're off to Paris, when we go to Paris. No. So I don't quite.
No, I think. So if it's a big place like Paris, there's an English way of saying it, isn't there? There's an English word for Paris, and it's not Paris.
Right.
Unless you put the word gay in front of it, in which case you say gay Paris, don't you? It's a straight. The word gay, I don't believe, is a French word, so it's quite odd that you would always do it like that. But a place like a smaller place or a less globally well-known place probably doesn't really have an English sort of version.
Okay.
I guess.
Right. Okay.
That's my guess.
You're the English teacher.
I was an English teacher. Exactly. Well, I was. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's interesting to see that. Are you looking forward to that one? Is that something you're going to be excited about?
Yeah.
Kursk generally means a lot of tanks and a lot of fortifications, doesn't
defensive setups and things like that, which I know you tend not to be that keen on.
Mines and wire and all sorts. We have an article about what to take to an ASL tournament. I guess this is useful once for someone who might go,
It's aimed at different people, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we obviously do need to have articles that appeal to people who are new as well.
Yeah, I think out of all of this, I think this is mostly common sense in terms of, obviously, bring what you bring. But I do think there is something to be said about bringing a playlist. I think that's an interesting point that like I wouldn't have thought about before I was told about a place when I went to ASLOC, in that people want you to have a playlist because they want you to know what you want to play. And it's all very well saying I'll play anything, but then when they bring anything out and you say, well, I didn't mean Desert.
Don't really fancy that one. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So there is an argument to say, look, bring a playlist, and that's that
is a good point. And I don't really do that. And sometimes you have like even me and you have done it, sat there looking through something and like kind of taking a really long time to decide that I quite fancy this one. I don't fancy that one. I haven't got the Belgians with me or whatever.
Exactly.
So I think it is good advice.
Exactly. The Hillock article, I mean, a hillock's just not walls. Do we not just think of them as big walls? I will read this. I will read it, but it's just
hillocks. I thought were really difficult when I first read the rule book on hillocks, but hillocks are ridiculously simple once you get the. And actually, there's a wonderfully simple illustration in View from the Trenches, isn't there? Where it simply has like half a dozen units on a map with a hillock, and it says this one can see that one, it can't see that one, and it just briefly explains why, and it makes perfect sense once you know about walls. It makes sense. Yeah.
We've got scenario analysis. This is I like the scenario analysis in so much as it gives people an idea of what they should be looking at when they are thinking about scenario. I feel like the more scenarios we have, the less useful scenario analysis are, because every scenario now is just 1/10,000th of a part of ASL, and I kind of feel like we don't have, unless it's a really big scenario that everybody is playing at that time, and then in theory they kind of have their own opinion of it already. So it's a tricky balancing act of trying to pick a nice scenario that people will be playing, and one that they can align themselves with in terms of that gives me some usefulness when I come to play it, but gives you very good advice in terms of what you can think about during a scenario. Stuff like that.
And actually, although you might say that having read a couple, you kind of get the idea, but everybody does it slightly differently, so it's always interesting.
Yeah.
So this is Brian Use, isn't it? So, whatever I've read before, Brian is going to have a different kind of approach to things, different things that he thinks are important, and that's always useful.
Then we had this massive article about different line of sights, vertical line of sights, which by Jonathan Kay, and
with a beautiful map illustrating all of those. It's almost like the route chart, isn't it, that was added into the rules, kind of thing, with every sort of situation. Yeah,
exactly that. Now, this is intriguing to me because the 15th episode of the journal, you think, is now players are fairly enfranchised. They tend to know what's going on. And we've got this really, don't get me wrong, amazing article. But there's a lot of it for what tends to be, and there might be some interesting bits and pieces, depressions and gullies and bits and pieces. Now, it's interesting because, and I haven't read this in enough depth to see if this answer is clarified. But I was talking to Mark Bloom the other day, and he had a question where he had a unit inside a gully, and it was non-assault moving. It was concealed, non-assault moving over into another gully, but a different gully. So think of two. And there was a unit that wanted to fire at this guy going across the gully. And there are a number of questions that came up about that. For example, does he lose line of sight? So we kind of went through this, and I've got some opinions on this, and I'll talk to you about them.
Sure.
So if you picture gully, a unit moving, non-assault movement,
and he can't be seen in either of those.
That's right.
The start or the end location. Yeah,
that's right. But can be seen at ground level
on the vertex.
Yeah.
So
are you going to lose concealment?
Okay, so I think not.
I think that is correct. I think it's correct. And why is that?
Well, it'd be no different if it was two woods with a space between it. You can assault move between. He was assault moving.
No, non-assault moving.
Non-assault moving. Yeah, I think. Yeah, but that's fine. Yes, no, I still think that. Yeah, as long as he's out of line of sight of the 2 points that you would check for it. Yeah,
that's right. Now, even if the unit is declared a snapshot against that, so the snapshot is viable.
Right, the snapshot is definitely viable. It's halved anyway.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm not sure about is I don't know that you benefit from concealment with a snapshot.
Oh, that's an interesting question. Okay, all right.
I'm not sure about that, but I've got a feeling you don't get concealment anyway.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, all right. So I don't know about that specific question, but in terms of losing concealment, because you don't get the movement in the open as part of the snapshot, so snapshot doesn't give you the FFMO, you don't lose concealment. You don't because of that reason. So that's so it's quite interesting. So there's little things like that now I appreciate this is not necessarily going to be talking about that because this is talking about different line of sights.
Different instances. I find, I mean, I've started to read this article and I will finish reading it and I'll read it really, really carefully because I think it is a weak point of my game. I know how the rules work and I've got my little ways of working it out. But I still find places where my mind is doing gymnastics, trying to kind of so what level is he on and stuff like that.
Right.
So I think it's it is useful. It's useful stuff. Yeah.
And now there is some very good stuff. Like for example, when you talk about where the wall is and when the wall is along a crest line, that's very good.
Yeah.
So there's some excellent pieces in here that I think are going to be very useful to good players. I think players that you would think wouldn't necessarily need some of this kind of stuff. So really good stuff. And we can talk about Jim's article now in the tanks on the attack.
Yeah.
So this
took me. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go. Oh, okay. All I was going to say is this one took me back to the was it the Robert Meldrew?
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. But I had his name wrong. Yeah,
right. Yeah, where we've got some chunky text and we've got some good tables. And it's good to see. It's good to see a table. I don't think I've ever seen this table before, which is surprising. Of final to kill number and original to hit. What is your chance of killing? Which is a really interesting table.
Pretty sure that there is something like it in the is it Meldrew or is it the ones before that? Because the squad leader ones were in the Avalon Hill magazine. The general.
Right.
I think tables like this may well exist, but for squad leader, not advanced squad leader.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So I mean, it is interesting. Okay, so and what's interesting about it is you can climb up to. Obviously, like your best ever shot is a 97% chance. It's a hit of 12 and it's a kill of 11. I mean, that's pretty impressive. But we are often firing at the 6 to hit and 6 to kill, 17% chance. Those kind of things are interesting.
I think what's really interesting, and actually I think it comes out in Jim's article a little bit, is just how impactful it is, how you have to fight for every sort of modifier. Every modifier that makes it more difficult for them to hit you or to destroy you. You're going from 34% to 42% or 42% to 32% in terms of a kill chance. That's not at all inconsequential.
Yeah. So what I loved about it was the brown paragraphs were all around like how should you think? How should you think about your tanks? How should you think about the opponent's tanks? What have you really got to how do you formulate a plan based on that? And I think that's really, really important. I think in terms of often my thinking goes along the lines of, oh, okay, well, it can kill me, I can kill it, right? We're evenly matched. That's kind of it. And there's not a lot more than that. And I know in the back of my mind there's something about the 6 hexes versus 7 hexes, Russians versus. But I don't know. I get swept into the trouble is because poker has the same problem as ASL in terms of luck can get you out of problems, and luck can get you into problems. And I think sometimes we think, oh, I can just drive up here, and if I get lucky, I'll be okay. And we kind of let the dice do the work for us, and that can kind of hide that. And we blame the dice obviously when it doesn't work out.
Yeah. I mean, and Jim's very clear on. We all know this, but sometimes we just play without bothering. But that you should be looking at these things up. You should know that your side armor is weak, but your front armor should survive, and all that kind of stuff. Obviously,
that's right. That's right.
But he talks about all kinds of things. The slow turrets versus the faster turrets. All those sorts of things that make a difference. In those tank battles.
Exactly. It's interesting that not all +1s, not all -1s are equal, and that's an interesting point. In so much as it can make as big as 16% difference in terms of its the plus and minuses, which are important. I kind of think that although that's very, very true, we really need a way of trying to visualize that and memorize that in an easier way. And I wonder whether or not that we could kind of in your mind just think to yourself, okay, well look, it's 10% if it's in this range, and it's 5% if it's in this range, and just think of it like that. But because these percentages are they show a lot, but it's almost too many numbers that you start to kind of concern yourself with.
Absolutely. So do you think Jim worked these calculations out? He's quite IT savvy, actually, Jim, isn't he? Do you reckon he's done a little program or something?
I would imagine it's an Excel spreadsheet that's come up with these numbers. I would imagine, but I don't know. I mean, who knows? Maybe he's got abacus and he's sat there with a supercomputer, as they like to.
I mean, certainly some of the articles, the data's produced by a program that's just literally rolling, 1 million or 2 million or whatever it is rolls.
That's true. That is true. But I do like the fact that we are trying to up the skill level of players. 40 years into the game, which is brilliant.
And do you know what? Nobody has done more for that in terms of if you look at is it Ask the Bishop or what's the
Jekyll?
Bishop says
Bishop says
those articles are phenomenal, and they are in not esoteric aspects of the rules, but they're aspects of the rules that people only know perhaps in a superficial way. Like I remember the guards one, the one with prisoners and guards and taking prisoners and stuff. So it's a fantastic insight into every aspect of those rules. You read that, digest it, and you're an expert.
I hear you. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Jekyll, JEKL.com is Jim Bishop's website. Take a look at that as well, because and I think Jim loves getting ideas in terms of what to write about and stuff like that. So if you have ideas around what he could expand on, I love the fact that there are people out there that are still trying to help players get stronger. Jim is a very, very, very strong player. So it's always good to see. Toby is going to give us a tip today. We've got a Toby's tip. These players don't have to help us out. They don't have to do this. We know that the journal's publishing schedules is only due to how many articles MMP get in to publish, how many scenarios they get, how many play tests. So, we have to say a big thank you to people like Jim and Jonathan and, the other producers of the articles in here.
Of the scenarios as well.
Well, absolutely, yeah. I mean, we only get to do this and enjoy this kind of stuff because of the efforts of other people. So it's great to see. If you just pick up 2 things from each of these articles, you've become a better player. And it's a chance to enjoy ASL without playing ASL, which is, I think, something that we can't really do very much of with many other games. So that's pretty good. In terms of other bits and pieces, we've got some history about some Marines. I mean, I never know what to do really with the idea of the rifle companies, but I think from scenarios designer's point of view, this is really useful. So the charts in terms of what does a battalion look like and everything in terms of ASL terms, it's quite interesting. And that feels like in terms of which fighter bombers should we have and which stuff like that. It's a real detail level there. And I don't think we should underestimate the tips from the trenches either. So I don't know if you've kind of looked at all these yet, but one of them that I love to find bits and pieces that I didn't know. Trenches, right? So street fighting ambush -1, we know that for close combat. street fighting, you get it from bypass, stationary bypass or VPN.
Yeah.
But if you are marked as first fire, you don't get that street fight, that ambush
I did
bonus.
not know that. I did not know that.
Which is, little things like that. Now,
yeah.
interesting.
I'm still new to the hobby, so you can't expect me to know that kind of thing. Yeah.
Anyway,
well,
thanks very much for the journal, guys. Well done. Brilliant articles.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We appreciated that. It gives us something to read.
I don't know. Several opponents that I've had over the years are sitting there reevaluating, going, "I'd have beaten Martin if he hadn't had that extra -1."
You'll get some changes. All right, let's talk Belgian Blitzkrieg. So
yes,
Belgian Blitzkrieg is from, I think, Journal 12. I've lost all of my scenarios from Journal 12. I don't know what's happened to them. So I've got a dirty photocopy of them all now. But we played this when it first came out.
Yeah.
I remember it for being one of the first scenarios that you had like this sudden death victory condition. And so we are let's pull up a vassal one now. So we're looking at the Belgian Blitzkrieg map here. I can go through roughly what's going on for those that don't know. So it's the Belgians against the Germans in 1940. Belgians have seven squads of varying quality. There's a couple of elites, 5 first lines, and they've got an anti-tank gun with a medium machine gun and a mortar. And they'll get on turn 5, they'll get a couple of 3.5 squads worth of infantry coming on bicycles. So that's the fun stuff, to see how good your opponent is at running around with some bicycles. The Germans get 13 squads to start with, and will get a couple of guns coming on turn 2. They also have a couple of mediums and 3 light machine guns, but they can take up to 5 of those squads and delay them for reinforcements, and those reinforcements will come on in turn 2. Is it turn 3? Turn 3. So they have a choice, really, and the big choice in terms of why the Germans might want to hold off is because if they pull them on at the start, all they have to do is just take this one building here on the right hand side of the map within 2 turns. Otherwise, they need to take 2 buildings by 7 turns, and of course there'll be a bit of a rush towards the buildings. There's a random dice roll for some rubble. I got lucky, and one of my rolls landed into another building, so we've got this kind of double rubble here, which actually helps me out a lot because it takes away the locations of this big building in the middle, this N50 or N5 building here. So I felt like I was off to a good start. We have a blaze that is predetermined here, and I think it's to stop the Belgians having a big fire lane or big shots across from the top of this building here. So I am the Germans, and Tomo Lukaru is the Belgians. I've never played Tomo before, and he was good fun. We had a good, enjoyable game. I'm going to whiz through this game for you.
Yes.
I put 5 units off and decided to assume that he was going to defend strong enough.
And it certainly seems like he's got a fair force there.
Yeah, he has. So it was a case of trying to work out was I going to make the thing. Now, here's my first mistake in this game. Of many. I looked at the 3 and the end on the scenario card. It says 3 and end, and a little bit like you can see at the top here. And in my mind, I was thinking, okay, by the end of turn 3, I've got to take this building at the front, and of course, it's by the end of turn 2. So when I got to, you'll see, we get some heroes coming out, and we've kind of revealed most of our guys. We've got some close combat straight away in turn 1.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because it is absolutely losable for the Belgians in 2 turns, isn't it?
Exactly.
Especially because they're presumably Tuomo's making a calculation about how much of his resources to invest in in that building. Yeah.
And if you look now, so I've stumbled on his gun.
Yeah.
So I kind of jumped into his gun in close combat there. By mistake, really. We get a melee that I roll a 10 and fail to kill his bits and pieces, and so
Yeah.
I don't manage to kill the other guy here as well, the half squad here.
Yeah.
So the building is probably going to hold out. There's only well, there's obviously another floor here, but in terms of what we can see,
You got a fire.
this blaze here is from the start,
from the beginning. Yeah.
So we clear up the gun. We jump into some attempted close combat here with the medium machine gun. But
You've won that now, I think.
So yeah, in a way, I mean, it's close now. The trucks come on with the anti-tank guns towing down the line, and suddenly I realise I don't really want to get. I don't want to go into this hex here because I've suddenly realised that this is looking a bit dangerous, and I just have no idea what to do, and I'm completely stuck. I don't know whether to go into bypass here, spin round, and I'm like, oh. Yeah. And I mean, Toby's just laughing at me. I think at this point, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've got counters in the way. I'm trying to get around this thing. I finally decided to go into bypass here, and then realise that actually it's just awful. I'm a truck going into grain. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
The good news is that I don't lose my guns on my trucks.
And you've got lots of infantry around protecting them, I suppose.
However, he pins my. Now, I should say that the joke throughout this game was that I am the man. My ASL superpower is that I can pass pin checks, and I think I only failed 2 pin checks in the whole game. And we still talk about the times that I failed the pin checks. I mean, that's how bad it was. Yeah. But I did fail them at bad times. I will say that
8 years on from now, Tyro will still sit down with a vodka with his mates and say, "Oh, did I tell you about the time Dave Ramsey failed a pin task check?"
Exactly that. It's not a great superhero power to have, but it's all I've got, I mean, so the reinforcements are coming on.
Now, they look handy.
Here's the thing about this. I'll give you this tip now. You have to get the guys in this hex here. This hex here is really, really important because it stops the bikes kind of coming down here a bit.
I see.
Or here, for example, by turn 5. All right. So turn 5, you want to be here, probably here, to be able to put a nice fire lane down this line here.
Yeah.
I know this now after I've played this scenario.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it's a difficult position to attack as well, isn't it, R9, from where you're coming?
Yeah, exactly.
You've only got one hex with cover.
Exactly.
You fire from T9 as well, I suppose. Yeah, let's see what happens.
All right, so I have not got this building, although it looks like, is it?
I think you have.
Yeah, but I haven't. I think I haven't moved the turn marker on. I think it's because turn 3. It's turn 3.
Yeah,
that's why. So I didn't win the sudden thing. I was a turn late on that.
Wow.
Now, a very smart decision here. He had to work out what to do with these guys here, and he's opted to. He jumped out of the building to avoid some very, very large fire.
Yeah.
But this medium machine gun is a real pain because it kind of holds up a lot of firing and a lot of
100%.
Yeah, kind of costs me.
But it's in trouble now.
Yeah, it's in trouble, but it gets to,
oh, look at that!
Yeah, exactly this, and this is exactly what happens. Like breaks a whole lot of my guys here.
Yeah, and you are effectively 9 morale, aren't you? The leader and the squad, assuming the leader doesn't pin.
Yep.
Well, 8 now you're encircled, but
yeah, exactly. But still, you can see that it's really held me up.
And you can't take it for granted. Yeah, no, very good.
Yeah, so very brave decision there. So as we push on, Malta takes out a half squad there, but we have kind of pushed them back, and the Belgians don't have a lot left. I mean, it's fair to say they've got. I think there's a leader back here. There's a half squad. I think there's another half squad here. So it's not, maybe 2.5 squads left back here.
You broke them.
Yeah, they've finally been gone.
And you've got an ELR as well on the guys in the woods.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's time to put your foot
That's
on
right.
the accelerator, isn't
Exactly. So off we go.
So I love this about this game. I love there being like kind of stages to the attack like this.
Yeah. And you'll notice that I took a bit of break in there from one squad there.
Right, you've released your guns.
Yeah. So the idea here was, I thought, well, what I don't want is for some tank or something to come charging down the road, and maybe there'll be a bike behind it, or whatever, and we'll recapture this building I haven't left behind, because you only have to capture 2 buildings. So the idea was to bring the guns and take them back, just use them as defense rather than to put them anywhere where.
And you guys are sort of all over the place, aren't they? You kind of need to reorganize for the. It always reminds me of in football or soccer, I suppose, when there's been a big fight out in the mouth of the goal.
Right.
And by the time the ball's kicked away or gone in the goal, everybody's on the ground falling over because they've done everything they could just to stop the ball. ASL reminds me of that sometimes. You have the fight over and everybody's in the wrong place, broken, malfunctioned weapons, pinned, whatever.
Very true. So, okay.
Yeah.
This was one of my little sneaky things about trying to make sure this guy is a leader. I tried claim ball advantage here to make him prove to me that he hasn't got a dummy there. So I know it's
very good. Yeah. But unfortunately, it's a real unit.
It is a real unit that is breaking my guys. So notice that I don't go into this hex that I'm telling you is very, very important to go to.
Yeah.
The trucks just want to get them out of the way because they just cause a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, and we bring some guys up here. Again, I bring up this guy in the top floor of the building thinking, okay, well, I'll get some shots over here. But this smoke is just a pain. So not a lot going on. Anyway, so we are fighting towards the end of the first session here. And we're looking good, I think.
Yeah, I think so. You're getting in. Of course, there's Belgian reinforcements still to come,
Belgian
isn't there?
reinforcements coming in.
But you are definitely looking a lot stronger.
So but we ended our first session here, and I kind of thought, well, you know what, I've done okay. I mean, I pinned again. That's the second pin of the game. But there are
he doesn't really have a huge amount. Left, does
his
he?
Reinforcements are coming on now, but he's got. I think there's a leader here. There's maybe 1.5 squads here, so maybe 2.5 squads here, and I've got a fair amount of my stuff. Right, okay, so now we'll see the next session, but in my mind, I've done enough here. I think I've done enough.
Okay. You're forgetting some of the resources that are available to Tomo, like knowledge of good play.
Well, Tomo sacrificed something. I don't know what he did. I mean, he did something between this week and last week. So, I think he put the premium dice on the.
Oh, I see.
It wasn't. He didn't dice me. He didn't dice me, but. Right. Hang on. Wait a second.
Or you think he may have done a human sacrifice of perhaps a neighbour or something like that to appease the gods?
Now you know what? I can't. I've started the log file, but I think I've started it before or after he's put his troops on, so I don't see his. So we're not going to be able to see his bikes coming flying down. We'll get an idea from them from the bounding fire counters. But basically, okay, I can't really show this very well now.
Yeah.
Basically, we have actually. Wait. If I try to let me close this 2 seconds. Let's see if I can do this. If I load the game. Let's see. This is better. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Right, we've got it here.
Okay.
Yeah, the continuation won't work.
No, I got to sync with you.
Oh, you do have to sync with me. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right, you good?
Yeah.
All right. So now we've got the bikes on the map.
Yes.
So on come the tanks. Yeah. Now you notice that again. This is where this hex here is really quite useful for any kind of fire lane or anything.
And they're open top tanks as well, and they're not even invulnerable to. Well, they're by no means invulnerable to a light machine gun.
Right. Exactly. So on they come. here come the bikes. And I mean, these bikes, Tomo is a cyclist. He must be, because he's very expert at remembering you can just run over a wall with the bikes. Just throw them over the wall. That's okay.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know that.
No, I know. He showed me the rule. Don't worry.
Yeah, no.
It was it was very skillfully done. And suddenly, we've got 3.5 guys back here now.
Yeah.
That's no problem, because I only need this building here to win the game. Okay?
Yeah.
And he's still got to, get into here. But obviously, these tanks now.
That fire lane down that road would be very impactful, wouldn't it, if you could do it.
It really would be. So of course it didn't happen. So suddenly I feel like my back's against the wall here. I'm in trouble. I've got a lot of guys.
It doesn't feel like you've done enough necessarily now.
That's right.
Yeah, first guy in breaks, second guy makes it, third guy breaks. Yeah.
Next guy breaks there. Next guy breaks.
Oh.
Yeah, next guy breaks.
Okay. Yeah.
Next guy breaks. This guy breaks. Look at this.
Wow.
It was pretty horrendous.
So I mean, like, passing morale checks would be a much better superpower, wouldn't it?
Rules knowledge. I'd take rules knowledge at this point. I would take tactical advice. I mean, look at this. Look at this. So at this point, it's pretty much mathematically impossible to win.
Yeah.
So there is technically a way of doing it, but it requires me jumping in, winning close combats, and be able to shoot them, because he has the last turn as well. So that means I get to potentially shoot him at the last turn.
It's not looking very. No, it's not looking very likely.
No, exactly that.
But you press on, fight it through.
Yeah, just with Steve Slunt's words in my mind about Europeans resigning too early. Yeah. I'll show him when to resign.
Yeah. I mean, Toma's a European as well. Unfortunately, he doesn't seem keen to resign this one.
He didn't want to resign. I get my guys in to the building. So this is these guys here. I mean, so it's in theory.
Yeah, absolutely.
The idea is that we can see where I got to, but obviously nowhere near winning.
I can see how it really helps you that those two hexes are rubbled.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
massive difference. Yeah,
I had plenty of luck. So that was our game. Tomo, a worthy winner, and a real fun opponent to play as well. I've got to say he was good value for the game, and I liked Tomo's catchphrase, which is when he's talking about defensive fire, he'll say to you, "No shots. I'm going to kill them later in close combat." And that was every single. And the guy's finish. I mean, he means it.
Yeah.
So it was a really good fun game.
Yeah.
And he done really well. He played a great game. And it was fast as well. I've got to say, we played very fast. So we got this done in. Maybe
so good choice of a scenario for the
excellent choice. Yeah. So I mean, look,
it's just the right size, isn't it? It's just the right size. There's plenty of interest, but it's not overwhelming. And
Lionel Colin, brilliant designer, and a worthy choice for the final. Right, shall we play? Well, which one should we do next, Martin?
Okay. Well, how about we've mentioned Steve Slunt? How about Steve Slunt and Paul Legg?
Yeah, I've just realised I've lost your camera. Okay, so this one is Steve Slunt and Paul Legg. They've done
Paul Legg defending as the German. Defending as the Belgians, and Steve attacking as the Germans.
Yeah, looking like a nice vassal template set up.
Absolutely.
All right. Oh, look at this as well. I like the smoke overlay as well.
So, because I didn't play this scenario, what's happened with the reinforcements? Has Steve kept them off? Or
so we can count. Yeah, so he's kept off. By looks of it,
a number.
Yeah, 4.5.
Okay, all right. And there's quite a strong defence of the Paul's keen not to lose on turn 2. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a fair force there. Okay, let's have a look. See what happens. Why is this not moving?
You all right? Oh, you good?
It's okay. Right, it's started. Okay.
No, you're good.
Oh, I'm pressing the wrong button. Right, okay, page down. Right, here we go. Right, so we've got a little bit of prep fire. Use of smoke. Good play. Defensive fire. How are we doing here? Germans certainly approaching that building. It's difficult to capture it, isn't it, in turn 2? That's realistically. Yeah. But it's only just difficult. I guess if the Belgians didn't defend it properly.
I mean, take a look. I mean, there's one squad and a leader, and probably maybe 1.5 squads, maybe a squad and a gun upstairs.
Yeah, it's true. It's doable, isn't it?
See, that's what makes it difficult when you get one break.
Yes. Suddenly there's a hole in the line, isn't there? And so we're still on turn 1, aren't we? So actually,
and then back in again.
Yeah.
And concealed.
Actually, the Germans are sort of making quite good progress. So the guns coming from a different direction this time.
And look at this. That guy get broken at the top there.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did that happen?
It looks like a really tense game, actually, already.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just okay. Anti-tank guns moving down the road.
Wow, off.
He's got past it though.
Yeah, he got away with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's well past. And the thing is, he's potentially going to place that.
Oh, you don't want to be parked next to that anti-tank gun as well.
No.
Oh, he's broke it.
Sheesh.
Oh no.
I can imagine Paul Legg being really pleased with that result.
Yeah. I think he smashed his place up as he's gone around.
He's tried to repair it and lost it as well.
I know. Oh.
Yeah. With 2 unarmoured vehicles right next to him. Yeah. Unbelievable.
You had one job.
So now potentially he could get anti-tank guns placed for the tanks, the arrival of the Belgian tanks.
Yeah.
Melees, but we are now in turn 2, but the Belgians have survived, so we go on to turn 3. Reinforcements coming on. I think that the Germans are ahead of in your game, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. The anti-tank guns are useful in this one.
Yeah, and there's also, I don't think they had the medium machine gun is still.
I mean, that really is like adding insult to injury, putting that anti-tank gun there. Oh my word!
Okay.
That's
Yeah. These Germans coming from all directions.
The Americans firing.
Yeah. Americans?
The acquisition counter.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I know Germans got a few things broken.
Yep. The thing is, they're not in force. They're not up there in force in this middle building.
Yeah, that's right. They're not. They need really to be almost in every hex, and you just don't have that. It's a really difficult balancing act, I think, for the Belgians on how much to commit to that forward defence.
Yeah, Toby said that the only time he'd played this one before, he'd lost on the turn 2.
Yeah, Germans definitely like moving down that road now.
Yeah, this is what makes it really difficult for the reinforcements to come on. Yeah, so you've got this kind of like flank attack here, which is quite interesting because you can potentially get one of the multi-hex buildings towards the back of the map instead of going for the.
Oh, I see. Yes. One. So it's any multi-hex building, not just the nearest one.
Yep.
Yeah. And so you got one force moving down enforceably. Can't ignore a silly half squad.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Belgians get the last turn, but obviously, if the Germans capture it,
then you've got to recapture it, which is much, much more difficult. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we're in turn 5. German turn 5.
Okay, that's there. They've had a look at the dice.
Okay, so we're at the end of this log file. I think that's the end of the game.
It's the end of the game. All right, so we've figured out what's happened, Martin. Here, we've figured out. Do you want to take us through?
Yeah. So at this point, the Belgians have conceded. There's a squad in level 1 of M6 that just broke with the German prep fire. Obviously, Belgian reinforcements are coming on, but he's ready to interdict them. You've got the anti-tank gun in the road ready for them, and all of these German units haven't moved yet. Right. So I think that it just felt perhaps
Yeah.
a little bit too tall. And all he's got to do with that half squad, like you say at the top, is sneak around and jump into one of the buildings at the back, and all of a sudden it's
this guy here as well. The guy in the
exactly. The only F7 isn't there. It's yeah. So yeah, I think Paul decided that his Belgians had enough of this particular. Yeah.
I see that. So well played, Steve. Sorry about that confusion there. It's one of those ones where it looked like, this is a full squad up here, and your reinforcements are about to come on. You're thinking, okay, this is actually all right. But given that the Germans have got a full.
Yeah, and I think it's a half squad anyway, that unit.
This one up here?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, no problems. Let's move on then.
We started?
Okay. Yep, we're good.
So one thing I've noticed straight away is that they've put the counters of all of the vehicles and the guns out very helpfully. It's kind of a bit of a Jim Bishop thing, isn't it, to make sure you've got the data that you need.
Yeah.
But putting them out there for everyone to see is very kind of very democratic, really. Everybody gets an equal share of the information. I like it. It's also interesting. This one also has 2 of the NM row building.
Yeah.
2 of the hexes have been hit with the.
Yeah.
So
you can choose. I think. Yeah. two hexes, and then you roll for rubble.
I see.
That, so. Yeah.
I see. Right. Okay. Cool.
Okay then. All right. Away you go. So Germans, Doug Leslie. Allies, David.
Okay. Got some opportunity fire and a load of movement. It looks very strongly defended at that forward building.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of advancing fire now. Okay.
Look at that mass of Germans there.
Terrifying, isn't it, when you see that? You can't really do anything about it. His defence is deploying in the main village now. That 9-2 is a tough. Oh, he's got a malfunctioned thing. Mortar. Defensive fire. It's a really effective defence, isn't it? It's we're into German turn 2. Fire lanes.
Yeah, he broke his machine gun.
Yeah, he's lost the anti-tank gun.
Oh.
Wow.
Germans are on the retreat here, aren't they? They're
struggling here. Yeah, and it's this is, like Doug Leslie is a very good player. He's effortlessly beaten me without any difficulty.
Yeah.
So almost no progress here.
Wow.
Does he need to capture that building?
No,
can he
just
bypass
it?
Two. Yeah. Well, the reinforcements are coming on. So where are they going to go? Right, okay.
But at this point, the reinforcements need to kind of come and help the original ones.
Yeah, starting to get some breaks on the guys in that building now.
Yeah.
Right, the guns appeared. Oh, did you just see that?
What have I seen?
Okay, so the guns appeared in R9, and it's just so it's one unit is broken. I'm not sure if we're at the end yet. Oh yeah, we are. Oh yeah, that was just the one unit. I suppose that could have been a lot worse. Have they broken? Oh no, that's CX. Okay, I wonder if there was another broken unit in there now. Okay, so what are we on now? Still on the axis turn. Okay, still moving. The building, the forward building is rock solid, isn't it? Yeah. Absolutely rock solid. There's some more breaks. It's an intensive fire against the reinforcement group. Mm-hmm. They're down to 1. Oh, I know they've still got the guys running away. Okay.
Yeah, that turn 5 reinforcements feels like a long time for the Belgians, doesn't it? Though. That's
yeah. Having said that, that building looks like it might be beginning to fall.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, it's now empty. Oh. Although, of course, they're able to move back in.
Yeah.
It must be soul destroying, those kinds of things, isn't it? When you can't, I'll get in there, but just move a squad back in with a medium machine gun. It's enough to hold you up another turn. building's going to fall. Still loads of breaks. But having said that, the other buildings, I mean, there's still that chance for the Germans to run around the back, capture another building. The building with the rubble is not particularly strongly held.
Right.
You know, anything could still happen. I'm going to hold it down for a little while. Okay, so we're now in Belgian turn 4, and
I still haven't taken that building.
Still haven't taken it. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a fair fight in there as well.
But do you know what? It doesn't look obviously like a Belgian win, despite all of that.
No.
Because if they do capture it, they've only got one more to go, and they're fighting their way into the other buildings. It's actually a really tense game. I'm really enjoying this one.
Yeah, because you got the bikes are going to come on now. The bikes are going to come on unhindered.
Yeah. Oh, look, the Belgians are doing all right now. Oh, yeah, they're pushing the Germans back. Close combats all over the place.
The Belgians.
Yeah, right, here come the tanks. Oh, not quite yet.
Yeah, but the thing is, the Belgians here can fire into this melee and then jump into it. Oh, they're not going to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the tanks are starting to make things look a little bit harder, aren't they? And you've got the guys on the bikes coming up.
Yeah. Looks good for the Belgians now, doesn't it?
It looks good for the Belgians now, yeah.
As this building's still not fallen into
it's just literally everything is piling into that building.
No. The 9-2's there.
One way or another, we've got to be close. I mean, it's getting hard to see how the Germans are going to get a second building now.
I mean, they've got 3 squads in there.
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
I can't believe it. I mean, I think I might have been tempted. I think it might even have crossed my mind to resign as the Germans early on.
Look at the close combat. There was a double 1 and a 4. Look at that.
And that's literally left one Belgian squad in control of the building.
Yeah. They got another one outside. Oh.
I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it. Okay, looks like he's resigned at that point. He's not
I don't blame him.
Do you know, I think it takes a certain amount of character to fight on when things obviously didn't go well for the Germans in the initial turn or two. I mean, it really for that building didn't really go well for them for the whole of the scenario.
Yeah.
And yet he was able to keep going and be at least in with a shot of winning.
Yeah. Wow. That was good fun.
That was brutal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely brutal. So well done to Dave.
Yeah.
Winning as the Belgians there.
Very good.
Amazing.
Very good stuff. Very good stuff. All right. Okay. All right. So we have Stephen Hall against Richard Webb. Stephen is the Germans.
He's attacking as the Germans. Yeah. And Richard Webb defending.
Okay.
Both Brits.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we start?
Please do.
Roger, it's a little bit different setup there, isn't it?
He almost looks like he's bypassing the first building. And
yeah.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Let's see.
Yeah. See what happens.
Yeah. Okay.
A little bit of opportunity for mostly movement. Of course, as in every game, Germans breaking a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's quite a nice approach, actually, isn't it, from that direction?
Yeah, we haven't seen many of those.
No, I quite like that, especially using the hedge and the grain.
Yeah.
And there's nobody upstairs in this. So there is a squad upstairs, to be fair.
Yeah, that AA5 building wasn't occupied, and that's a key one there, I think, to prevent that kind of swing over the top.
Yeah.
This is the problem I had about whether you send people on further and trust the guys behind you are going to do it, or whether you have to just pile everybody into this one. It's a tougher nut to crack than it looks, this building.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So nothing broken yet among the Belgians, and they're moving guys forward.
Yeah, that's never a good sign. This is a U. When Belgians start. This is dangerous though for the Belgians.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they get caught
And
out in
actually,
the open now.
he's got a squad quite forward, hasn't he, in the V line?
Yeah.
But the battle for the farmhouse is ongoing.
Oh,
guns
the gun,
appeared.
yeah, off. Berserk.
Got Berserk German, of course you have. Yeah. So really, there's very little at the back, isn't there? You're all in melee now. Melee's all over the shop.
Yeah, because these guys at the top can run around the top quite easily there.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, there's obviously
there is a guard. There is obviously a guard, but absolutely. Yeah, or a couple of units break it. He's definitely getting himself back into defensive territory there.
Right.
Vehicles coming on. So this is a German turn. There's that vehicle's turning around a lot. Yeah. Okay. I think you're getting this. Just seeing past that. Right, here we go. Reinforcements coming on the top. Yes, of course they can. Yeah. He's got a hero. Is that from the Order of Battle?
No.
Okay. Right. Guys trying to do exactly what you suggested, but they're caught out in the open.
Yeah.
But they are bubbling over out of that building now, so there's not much up at the top and the right-hand side to stop the Germans advancing. Oh, and the Belgian reinforcements now. Actually, the Germans are behind the average of the other games we've played, haven't they? We are still in turn 3, so actually it's not reinforcements yet. Okay. Ignore that. Do you know what? That counter is called Ramsey.
Yeah, look at that. The hero.
So Stephen Hall, bless him, has decided to call his hero Ramsey, not Barker.
We'll see how well this guy does.
We know who our friends are.
I mean, let's be honest. This German Ramsey is the furthest one from flying.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, go look at that. I think that's really that matters. That squad or half squad getting through there.
Yeah.
But here they are. They're still working their way forward. Certainly losing things. Germans.
Have they lost both guns now? Then, I think.
No, the other gun I think is on the top.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah. There's still fighting going on for the farmhouse.
It's incredible, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm. So this is Belgian turn 4, isn't it?
Oh, Ramsey's in the building. There you go.
There's no telling that guy to just be sensible, is there? He's
oh no.
He ain't scared.
Oh,
He's
no.
not scared.
It could be the end.
If he wins that, I'm buying you a pint next time I see you. Germans again running forward, so trying to get into the position you never thought of.
Yep.
Yeah. I want to see the close combat. So
I mean, it's melee. It's held out. Oh, he's wounded. He's wounded him.
Is he going to get somebody else in there? It's keeping them busy, though, isn't it? It's a full squad tied up. And it is, after all, the German turn. He's captured another building. And he's captured the one on the right.
So he's got 2 now.
He's got 2 now.
1, 2.
Here come the reinforcements. They're not going to be. That gives them something to do. Oh, look, all that force at the front is broken in row 0.
Right. Oh, I assume Ramsey's gone.
Ramsey's gone. He was never going to be a stayer, was he? He was always going to lacking real sticking power.
I mean, he's got the 2 buildings here, so he's got to.
But it's starting to look quite hard because he's only got to kill those guys, isn't it?
It's just got.
There's more Germans.
Yeah. This is
okay.
This could go either way, couldn't it? Turn to go.
It could absolutely could go either way.
Got these. Well, I can't see here how the Belgians are going to win this.
You'd be tempted to resign at this point.
Wow.
Perhaps not resign.
I mean, he's got the guys in now, so he's got 2.5 squads here.
Wow.
Up against 1.5.
So,
So,
there's two. So this is exciting now because there's 2 buildings being contested.
oh, is he gonna get? Is he gonna get away? Oh, he got away with it. He got away with it. He's got the guys
wow.
here. Oh, that was a 4-down-2 shot there. He survived it.
So that's the end. So that's a German win, isn't it?
It's a German win. Yeah, has to be a German win.
And I've got that down as a Belgian win. I must have misunderstood that.
Oh well, that's really
Right,
quite
okay.
awkward.
I had better check who was who. Okay, I might be doing a big apology in a minute. Okay, so this was from Richard, and not that long ago.
It's a German win. It's a German win.
It's clearly a German win, yeah.
Yeah.
It says a narrow German win. This is from Richard, and he is. Yes, he's the Germans. Yeah. So apologies to everybody. Just to clarify, obviously that's a German win, but in fact it was Richard playing as the Germans and Stephen as the Belgians.
Ah, right.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll switch that over. But anyway, that's
we've
got it. Okay. Right. Okay then. So we've got down to the final now. Let me just flip the scene for a second. The final is we've got a video done by Tim, and I think, does Andy have some say in it? We're going to watch it now for the first time to see how it goes. So Tim has put this together. He's also put a Hit It and Quit It video together, which we're going to play next time. So we missed that from the last time we were doing the Hit It and Quit It thing. He's going to win the prize for putting a video together for us, because he's
excellent.
The only person that's done a couple.
We haven't watched it yet, but
we're going to watch it. But I didn't want to spoil it. I didn't want to watch it before I played my game, so that was the thing. So we're going to watch his video now and get back to you with finally knowing the winner of the 2024 Illuminating Rounds tournament.
Can't wait.
Here we go, Martin. Are you ready? Off we go.
It's the grand final of the Illuminating Rounds 2024 Vassal Tournament, and I'm playing Andy Bagley. I'd not met or played Andy before, but by all accounts he is an expert player, as well as a gentleman, so I was looking forward to a good game. During this video, I'll present Andy's thoughts on the game turn by turn, voiced by AI, and some of my thoughts pre-game, post-game, and in the 2 intermissions we had between sessions. J182 Belgian Blitzkrieg is a tricky scenario. We started by both bidding Germans. For me, this was a choice influenced by the published results, which show the majority of wins going that way. I lost the dice roll, and so went Belgians with the balance. As the Belgian, I was keen not to lose by the turn 2 VC, but I was also alert to balancing the end of game VC by having some cover for the westerly VC buildings to make that a decent contest. I expected German forces to be kept back for turn 3 and deployed to have some coverage for that, specifically the AT gun, which I thought best to cover the northerly approaches. My MMG was kept towards the rear also, as a key asset in the mid to late game. My main concern was the solid ability to hold building Z6, and then being able to transfer units from this defence to the rear. I had read many comments from played games that had the Belgians really struggling to retake the westerly buildings.
The unusual victory conditions make this a fascinating scenario. The Belgian defenders must place a sufficient force in building Z6 to prevent its fall by turn 2, whilst keeping enough units back to guard the western buildings. Correspondingly, the Germans must decide whether to go all out to take building Z6, or try to bypass it to capture other buildings before the Belgian reinforcements arrive. Based on the Belgian setup, I decide to go for the second option, as they have no units in Z4 or Y5 threatening a northern flank advance. I also plan to keep a small force pushing towards building Z6 to draw any fire from its upper levels and dissuade the defenders from rushing westwards. I also retain a small reinforcement group to enter on turn 3 CSSR4. Pre-game, I rubble N5 and M6, CSSR2 to stop the Belgians using level 1 to overlook the hedges should I choose to bring my reinforcements on from the south. Turn 1. My units approaching A5 all had safe routes if they broke, but excellent Belgian DRs, 2-3s, meant that 2 half squads are shot dead. Another squad is also reduced to a broken HS by Fine and a sniper. This is a terrible start, but at least my northern group progresses as planned unscathed. Predictably though, some Belgian units from the Z6 area already start to move west. Turn 2. My trucks with AT guns will enter on Y1, but I choose to delay them because I'm expecting Resid in that hex. My sweep round the northern flank continues to go well, with a bit of luck in surviving machine gun and long-range defensive fire with nothing worse than a pin result. I guessed wrong. I thought the Belgian MG would be in R9. I can also move 2 squads into W4 to hinder any further movement west from Z6, although only one survives Belgian prep fire. In response, the Belgians retreat from the woods in P4 to building N4 level 1 to defend my advance in the north. Turn 3. All my reinforcements now appear in the north, and my trucks fortunately survive defensive fire undamaged. My northern flank attack is supposed to be accompanied by a push through the woods in front of building N4. However, I forget about the Belgian AT gun, which was not only cunningly hidden in O3, but achieves a critical hit against my approaching infantry in P3. This loses me 1 full squad, and I'm fortunate that the others can route forwards as he has no LOS from N4 level 1 to P2. I decided against entering CC with my leader and squad from P4 because of the PF they would then face from N4, but these guys now look isolated in P5. I feel I'm struggling because I've lost so many units, and I fear being outnumbered when the Belgian reinforcements arrive, although I'm pleased that none of his units from building Z6 have made it west to aid their colleagues.
With a forced break to our game as I relocated for the holidays, I've had a chance to spend some time to review the game and make some plans for the coming turns, starting with my turn 3. This is a bit of a luxury, I have to admit. I feel the game is very much in the balance, but it must be said that the Germans have no victory buildings under their control, and are not close to making this so. The damage from the 47L AT gun in the last player turn really put a dent in the German advance. I'm far from confident here though. I have 2 more German player turns to navigate before my own reinforcements arrive, and this could be used by Andy to hop into a number of buildings and control them. I need a plan that makes that task difficult and provides the best chance to use my extra forces to hold on. On the plus side, I have eliminated a reasonable number of German units already, with a further 4 MMC broken and under DM. These brokies are not with leaders and will take some time to come back. I also have local numerical superiority in the east part of the map. All my remaining units are in good order. On the downside, in the east, the German units are hindering my ability to reinforce the west. My squad in R5 is very exposed, and if he breaks will struggle to rout. And finally, the German northern flank attack promises to do just that, outflank me. The saving grace here is that most of his upright units are already CX, and the towed guns will take ages to move this way over open ground and using bypass. So what is my plan? Firstly, I need to remember I have 5 player turns remaining. This is important to pace the action in the east. I also need to continue to slow the German progress in the west, while occupying any buildings that I think he might be able to access in the next 2 turns, to stop any control occurring. And then, in my turn 5, look to reinforce them. In the process, I may need to give building N4, but the defensive nub there is a good one, so I will need to consider this very carefully. In more detail in the east, I will try and break the 467 in W4, as this will collapse that area and allow later reinforcements and encircling opportunities into the west. In the west, the 47L AT gun will fire on the half squads in F2. Any morale check here will likely yield some effect. Any rate of fire will be used to repeat the dose or switch targets to the 8-0 in Q1. This guy is a critical unit for the Germans now. He, along with his mate in Q2, getting into N1 for rally is crucial for the German outcome, and my priority is to stop that happening. Fortunately, they both have open ground or +1 terrain to move in to get there. I will be trying to move in a way to interdict such movement. Now, back to AI Andy.
Turn 4. Please note that there's an error in the log file here because the two half squads in N0 and O0 should not be concealed. They can be seen from Z, 6 level 1. My sweep round to the north continues, and I plan to get at least a couple of HSs as far west as possible to slow the Belgian reinforcements. My AT gun heading that way might do the same, but it's more likely that I will abandon it and use the crew as infantry. I'm lucky to create a leader in N1 and hero in 06, although 2 more HSs get shot trying to approach the AT gun. I decide to go into CC anyway with my lone leader, who manages to take out the AT gun crew, although gets wounded in doing so. A mistake. I forgot to keep his squad in S6 under DM and it self-rallies, although subsequently pinned by my AT gun which is now guarding my rear. I managed to break the half squad with its machine gun despite taking further casualties, including my hero, but his reinforcements are about to arrive and I do not yet control any multi-hex buildings. At this point, I think I'm probably losing. Turn 5. I make a late rush into buildings E1, D2 and J6, fortunately avoiding any mishaps. The Belgian leader in N4 takes the MMG rather than trying to rally the half squad, but fortunately does little damage.
Things are decisively precarious. It could go either way, and I expect it will be the last player turn that will decide things. As it's my player turn next, I again have the luxury of some prep time. After some thought, I plan to try to set things up in the east to be able to defend the Z6 building to the end with 1 squad, and move my remaining units so they can be in a position to threaten N4, as I expect it will fall soon. This will face some resistance in the form of the 37L AT gun and a wounded leader manning a light machine gun. I will also try to eliminate the broken units by failure to rout and limit further opportunities for these half squads to influence the game later on. In building N4, I will try to hold on as long as possible, but not expecting to hold on, making it hard for Andy and hopefully tie up some units in the process. The reinforcements will attack in force to try and take back the far west victory building and take advantage of the German CX units. Back again to AI Andy.
We had some debate as to whether the 2 Belgian tanks could enter separately, because one of them has a radio, and eventually agreed that they could. If both were radioless, they would have to enter as a platoon, so this probably needs an ESR to clarify. However, the radioless tank breaks its gun trying to shoot my truck. Belgian infantry enter carrying their bicycles rather than riding them, and will clearly recapture building D2. I expected more of them to go straight down the road, perhaps on bicycles towards J6 though, as they will certainly need to retake this building too. I'm also not sure why the Belgians are attacking J1, as it's not relevant to VCs. Other Belgian units from Z6 finally run westwards, leaving just a single squad, plus what I know is a dummy, defending that building. I plan to go for building Z6 anyway, with my 2 HSs still in that area, but it's here that, in a game with plenty of snakies and boxcars, I get my luckiest break. My sniper breaks the Belgian squad in U5 and then, with another sniper check of 1 and perfect a direction dice roll, lands exactly on Y7 and breaks the lone Belgian squad there. Building Z6 is now undefended against my 2 half squads. One more thing works for me. Although a Belgian squad enters M6 in the advance phase, I control that building immediately before in the RTPH when I remove the last survivors in N4 level 1. Turn 6. There's no SSR in this scenario that requires trucks to withdraw after unloading, so I can still use them, and trucks can overrun with 1 FP. My overrun doesn't affect the squad in R8, but at least provides a distraction for the Belgians trying to get back to recapture building Z6, which I've now taken. One squad heading there goes berserk, but fortunately for me it's 1 movement factor short of being able to get into the building. In the west, the Belgians easily recapture building D2 but have yet to reach J6. I'm a bit surprised that their tank held in I8, rather than advancing to A7 where it might have been more threatening. I wouldn't have tried the MG shot because it would be hull down and I wanted to encircle M6 anyway. Although I have very few units left, I'm now cautiously optimistic. Building N4 should remain mine, and I hope to hold at least 1 of J6 and Z6 for the win. Turn 7. The Belgians need to recapture 2 buildings on their final turn to avoid a German victory, so I prepare for their last gasp attack. As planned, my crew in J1 abandons its AT gun to reinforce building J6. The op fire from Z6 level 1 is also important. To DM the broken squad in AA5, can't do it in prep fire as I'm CX, so it would be 2+3. Fortunately I survived Belgian defensive fire. In J6 I advance my MG squad up to level 1 where it's harder for the Belgians to reach. In their last turn the Belgians enter buildings J6 and Z6, predictably including a VBM freeze in J5. However, the game is over in the Belgian RTPH when my broken squad in J5 routes upstairs, where it will hold that building even if no one else survives. We carried on to the CCP anyway, where the Belgians won just 1 of the 2 CCs in building Z6, so I ended up holding that building too.
Post-game. So, on Christmas Eve, just 10 minutes shy of Christmas Day, I lost the grand final to Andy. As expected, it was very tight, and in the end, I think I was undone by the 2-1 sniper checks that deviated to break the squad, protecting the easterly building, and another squad that could have come to the rescue. In my last turn, I had a very good chance to get it back to 2 VC buildings and a mathematical chance to get it back to 1 VC for the win. But the events earlier in the session really put an end to it, as Andy could always route to a location I could not reach for the win. A game full of momentum swings and only ifs. Thanks and congratulations to Andy on a game well played and in the best of spirits. Thanks also to Dave and Martin for their tireless work. I'm looking forward to the next tournament. Now I'll give the last word to Andy's AI voice.
Conclusions. Lots of interesting outcomes from interesting die rolls, and very well played by my opponent. For much of the time I thought I was losing, especially after the casualties I took on turns 1 and 3. However, the incredible sniper shots that allowed me to capture building Z6, combined with the Belgian reinforcements not managing to retake J6, finally allowed me sneak a win. A really excellent scenario, and one of the most exciting games I have ever played. Plenty of options and important decisions for both sides, so the scenario could turn out very differently on different playings. Obviously the Belgian setup is crucial, and I wonder if I would have adopted a different strategy had he set up units, or even dummies, in Z4 and Y5. Don't know, but this is a scenario I'd be very happy to play again.
All right, a quick costume change as well, Martin. We've now just seen. So congratulations to Andy Bagley, but good job, Tim, for the good video there.
Yes.
Obviously, if you didn't spot, Tim didn't turn into a robot. I think he used Andy's notes and turned that into a voice recording.
So I did spend the first section of listening to Andy Bagley thinking he sounds much younger on recording than he does in real life. And then he said Z, and I thought there's no way that Andy Bagley would have said Z, and that's when I called off. But I think Tim was calling it the AI Andy, wasn't he? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very good. Tim, so Andy's we're going to show the prize that Ian Wheely has done for Andy now. So there's the pictures of that. It's a good model and diorama that Ian Wheely has done.
Yeah. So I certainly know the. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Go on. I was going to say. I think that's been posted to Andy. He should have got that.
Andy has it. Andy absolutely has it. Yes. Yeah.
Good. And Tim, if you haven't got a copy of Some Merry Glees, we are going to send you a copy of that for doing all the work on the video. So thank you for doing that for us as well. Very good stuff. We got Toby's tips. So here we go with Toby's tips.
Okay, so my tip today is more like a training routine for attacking that I'm going to recommend. And this is it. Basically, as I say, a little training routine that will improve your offensive play. And it is this. And it concentrates on troops with assault firing. Where they halved whatever their assault firing number is, you round up and then add 1 at the end. So it's this. Choose a scenario where you're attacking with either 548 Germans, which pretty much means Fallschirmjäger, or American paratroopers, 747s. And so you're attacking with them, and there's 3 rules that you have to follow. So only your units that have support weapons or are at point blank range can prep fire. Your second rule is you cannot prep fire at concealed units. And the third rule is you cannot, in the advancing fire phase, you cannot advancing fire at long range. Okay, so follow those 3 rules, attacking with American or German paratroopers. And my suggestion is have a good read of the assault firing rules, and your offensive play shall improve. That's it.
All right, Martin. So we're going to play a journal scenario, Journal 15, next. So one of us who's attacking is going to implement Toby's things to the letter, Martin.
To the letter. All right. And what we'll do is we'll try and draw attention to it as well when we go over the game. Yeah.
Exactly. And in other news, sad news really, Double One has been cancelled. Yeah. They are doing some construction work at Rittle College. Morris said to me it was like much needed. I didn't know. Did you think that they needed to do any construction work there? I didn't know.
I don't know what the scale is of the work that they're doing, but it is just for this year. Yeah. So next year we'll be back to business as usual, hopefully with an improved facility. I mean, I have no complaints about the facility, but no doubt they can do something that will impress us.
And with a whole extra year of preparation, that tournament is going to be something special now, isn't it?
There's no pressure on those 2 guys, but Gary and Morris, but it better be special.
It better be special. We expect it now. This is the tournament we've all waited for. It's like coming back out of COVID again, and we're all excited to be there. We're gonna get ready with the eliminated rounds tournaments. So obviously, if you're a Patreon, you can sign up. Anybody can sign up for the starter kit tournaments. So we just want to get people in that. So if you want to join up. We will try and start that very, very soon. I guess we'll try and start it, within a couple of weeks. So
absolutely. Early in March as possible, I guess.
Exactly that, because we've been a bit slow this year. So we will do that. But obviously that's the tournament everyone wants to be in. So feel free to get involved. Martin, anything else from your side?
No. I mean, no, I think not really.
Okay.
But I was going to say how much I enjoyed Andy and Tim's game.
Yeah, that was a special game, wasn't it? That was sort of the best one till last, really. That was And what was really interesting is just how Andy stole a win by. I mean, I don't mean got a win by a completely different strategy to everybody else, because pretty much everybody else tried to capture the first building, didn't they? And then moved on to the second building. And that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? That makes a lot of sense, because you've got to think that the Belgians are going to defend that heavily to avoid the loss. And therefore, by bypassing it and keeping all your troops perhaps till later on.
Absolutely. I thought it was really, really interesting. Yeah. And in fact, it didn't look great for Andy. I think Tim and Andy kind of felt that, he'd lost a lot of units with the kind of like the bypass, really, trying to bypass the main Belgian positions. Yeah. And he had like 4 broken units under DM, leaders nowhere near them. It didn't look great for him. And, I always particularly admire that when people like work at it. They don't give in. They work at it.
Yeah.
We're going to try and undo the British reputation that Steve Sutton has with us of giving in too easily.
Yeah.
And Andy Bagley's he's on the front line there, banging away for Britain.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about the times you've banged away for Britain, but we're gonna talk about that another day. Right.
Okay.
Martin, until then, take care. Thank you everybody for taking part in this year's tournaments. Well done again to Andy. Commiserations to Tim, but thank you for doing the great video. We'll catch you next time with a scenario from Journal 15. Take care.
Journal 15. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.